Look, if this wasn't a political stunt by the Eagles franchise, then they wouldn't have planned to attend the event and then backed out at the last minute. And if it wasn't a political stunt, then they wouldn't have attempted to reschedule the visit when they knew that the president was going to be overseas. And if this wasn't a political stunt, they wouldn't have waited until Monday, well after 1,000 of their fans had traveled and taken time out of their schedules to offer only a tiny handful of representatives to attend the event.
That pretty much says it all, right? Press Secretary Sarah Huckabee Sanders accusing the Philadelphia Eagles of pulling a publicity stunt, one that prompted the president to call off the Super Bowl champions' visit to the White House altogether after the team said that probably only a handful of players and a mascot would be attending the Rose Garden celebration. So instead, the president held a, quote, Celebrating America event. Here's what that looked like.
We stand to honor our military and to honor our country, and to remember the fallen heroes who never made it back home. We stand to show our love for our fellow citizens and our magnificent Constitution. We stand to pay tribute to the incredible Americans who came before us and the heroic sacrifices they made. So we stand together for freedom. We stand together for patriotism. And we proudly stand for our glorious nation under God.
Here now, Bill Bennett, host of the Bill Bennett podcast and a Fox News contributor and a good friend of the story. Good to see you tonight, Bill.
Hey, in person. Wow, great.
Good to be here in person.
Yeah.
Good to see you in person.
Thank you.
Let's put up this quote from the Philadelphia Mayor Jim Kenney, who took advantage of the situation today to say this: disinviting them from the White House only proves that our president is not a true patriot, but a fragile egomaniac obsessed with crowd size and afraid of the embarrassment of throwing a party to which no one wants to attend. Does he have a point in any of that, do you think?
No, I don't think so. He has one opportunity here in a year to say something about the president. He took it as the mayor of Philadelphia. I don't think we'll hear from him again. No, the president had a good point. May I say, first of all, I don't think you're sad about the Eagles not coming. You were happy to retire with the Patriots.
Yeah. As I said, if the Patriots had won, which is what should have happened, they would have shown up at the Rose Garden.
But politics and football, you know, it's unfortunate. What does our friend Laura say? Shut up and sing, you know, shut up and play. By the way, let me say, I am a huge football fan, although it's a college game for me. We're 3 months away. Could we just think about the Caps for a minute?
I know.
And you want to see politics, Martha? When Ovechkin goes to the White House, Putin was at Ovechkin's wedding. Mueller's going to come in and arrest them all. I mean, he's going to talk about collusion. Collusion. All right, we'll get serious.
Russians in the White House.
We'll get serious. Look, the president uninvited them because they said they'd have 4 or 5 guys coming rather than 50 or 60 or 70. That's crazy. Now, there's all sorts of unknown things. I've heard rumors that they were saying they wanted to have meetings with the president, but the president denied it. I don't believe the president would deny a meeting. He'd have one of those round tables on TV. He'd love to talk to those guys. So, yeah, I think some mistakes have been made on both sides here, but they were invited. The president invited them, and they said, yeah, we'll send 5 or 10 people.
I mean, now it turns into this whole thing. Now you've got LeBron James saying, I know regardless of who wins this series, they're playing against the Golden State Warriors. No one wants an invite anyway. It won't be Golden State or Cleveland going. I mean, have we gotten to a point where we should stop this whole thing?
No, I don't think so. There's no one.
Should the teams just go?
They should go.
Just go.
Yeah, the president has no one to root for.
Honor, you know?
In the NBA Finals, he doesn't have a team to root for. Sure. No, they should just go. I remember Bill Clinton was not a guy I liked. He was not a president I admired. But when he came into the room and we were at the Kennedy Center, I said to my family, we got to stand up. He's the president of the United States.
Absolutely. I think every American should feel that way.
You go, and your team is honored in a way they can't be honored in any other way, in any other venue like that.
Speaking of Bill Clinton,
they should have come. Yes.
Bill Clinton's been digging a hole, and he just keeps digging this week. He basically, was asked in an interview whether or not he should apologize directly to Monica Lewinsky, given the context of Me Too now. As this is a tough frame of reference that he's living in right now, but he was very offended that he was even asked a question about it.
It was different Bill Clinton, wasn't it? You haven't seen that one before.
Occasionally he wears his head,
flares. But, I think part of it is the Clintons don't think they should be asked tough questions. This is past. They're above criticism. But, he should have expected this. I would have thought he would have been better prepared for this question. But, he's got to face the fact we're in a different moment. different now. I was thinking about this. Monica Lewinsky time, it was a different moment for feminism. It was, I am woman, hear me roar. She's empowered. She's a woman. People would say, yeah, but she's just a girl. No, she's a woman. She can make her own decisions. Now Monica is coming to a realization. Maybe I was taken advantage of. You sure were taken advantage of. You're also implicit in what you did. But Clinton doesn't think he should apologize for it now. He was wrong then, as I wrote in a book, and he's wrong now.
I mean, it's not going to get better for him. He's got Juanita Broderick is saying, you know, what about my sister? It's not as if you can pass it off as like, oh, there was just this one affair, and maybe it was consensual, as Monica said. There's too many other things out there. It's going to be more and more difficult for him to go out and do these interviews.
The more he appears, the more he will hear this. And even, did you see the poll of the Democrat professors, not Democrat professors, well, they're all Democrats, saying, you know, rating the presidents, his standing has dropped by about 10 slices because of the Me Too movement. No, he's going to run into this everywhere, and he has to face up to it.
Because some presidents rise over time, and others fall.
Some get better. Yep.
Bill Bennett.
And some should disappear.
Observer of all things having to do with values and presidents and football and all those good things. Bill, thank you. It's always good to see you.
It's America.
Great to have you here tonight. Thanks for being here.
Great to see you in person.